This is the final assignment for rendering and graphics programming. My name is Arturo Serrano, and what I did for question number 1 was to create a constant buffer for each of the shaders in the shader classes for texture and light, and color, and also on the HLS file for each one. So on my constant buffer, we'll have the fog star, the fog range, and the fog color. And then for on each class, I'll be having a structure called data fog that links the constant buffer into the class. And then on my, I also have a function that sends all the data, send fog data for each of the shaders. This one is the texture on light. It's going to be the same on the color on light. Then I already have it running, so mm, currently I'm running both shaders with the color red. Uh, the star is going to be 5 and the range is going to be 35. And this is what it looks like. In the scene I'm having the cube running with the color and light shader, and both the Turex and the earth are running the texture lighting shader. And then if I just if I zoom out, the fog is going to consume everything in the scene, and if I just scroll back in, they're going to appear. So it works. It works fine. And then for the default values, I'll just need to comment out the both the fog data for both of the shaders, and they will have no apparent effect on the scene. I did that using a range of 1,000. So since the range it's way above the, it's pretty far from the camera, it's not going to blend. I would say with the scene. So that's why it doesn't have any effect. Then for question number 2, rather than changing anything on the classes for the color light and the texture light, it was more about how to send the correct direction for the light to be rendered in the mirror scene. So for that one, it was pretty tricky. So I have a new position called position M for both the shader color light and the shader texture light. And what this new position does, I have a small diagram here. The bottom part represents the original scene and the top part represents the mirror one. So the yellow circles represents the spotlight when it's in front of the cube, and the yellow and red circles represent when it's actually behind the cube. So the blue circle represents the square, and the eye position is represented by this gray line. So the translation on the original scene for the spotlight is represented with this orange arrow, and when we translate that in with the reflection matrix that it was given to us, so it started out as counterclockwise, but then it changed to clockwise. So we need to revert that, and I'm doing exactly that in the storing the negative rotation into a matrix called world mirror, which I'll later, which I'm going to be using later, since I'm using that rotation times the reflection matrix. It gives us this purple arrow, which this is not the direction that we intended. So we want something like the red arrow. So that was an offset. So I'm just changing the matrix of the direction to be, to rotate 45 degrees in order to point directly towards towards our desired position as the original scene. And I'm doing that uh, right here. So I'm getting the mirror matrix, and I'm just offsetting it 45 degrees, and I have this is in running, so it looks like this. So the light for the spotlight is rendering correctly. I don't have the point light set it up, so it looks funky at some point. Some glitches, like this one, hard edges on the bottom plane. But other than that, it's rendering correctly light just behind the dice, and then going backwards into the walls. So the as you can see, the dice is running the texture and light shader, and the back wall it's running the color and light shader, and it's rendering correctly. Just as I said before, I haven't set up the point light to work with the mirror, but other than that, the other ones are rendering correctly. As you can see, that's the highlight around the bottom plane, and it's actually showing in the mirror. I don't have a mirror class setup, but I might get it done by the final project. So yeah, I think that's it.